spearheaded the effort for the marquee restoration.
So we bought the building, remodeled it. Looks nothing like it used to.
The ugliest Christmas sweater I've ever seen.
Me too.
We're on. Welcome to our 26th podcast and a special Halloween podcast. We are in Cresco, Iowa at the Cresco Theater and Opera House. And I have a few guests here. You can at least be a little bit happier.
I smile.
We'll introduce them coming up in just a bit. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Alpha Roofing Company. If you need any roofing supplies, if you need anything done specifically, make sure to give them a call. They are in Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, and especially in North Iowa. So this is a special one for me. This is one of my favorite places to go. And Wendy, you're in charge of this place, correct? What is your official title?
Manager.
That's if I go to the website, it's going to be Wendy, manager.
Yes.
You don't have some special like director of theater and supplies? We'll get to you coming up. Ellen, you've been around for a while?
Yes, I have.
Yeah?
I've been here working in the theater since 1979, sir.
Woo.
Whoa, yeah.
Okay. And Dave,
Yeah,
welcome.
thank you.
So what's your affiliation with this place? How did we drag you in here?
I've been a part of the theater through CCT since I'd say the late 90s.
Okay.
Acted on stage with Ellen, many productions, and then a past theater commission member and future theater commission member.
Oh, you're in. You
So
saw
You're
it.
in.
I'm very vested in the theater. So grew up here as a kid and wanted to see it flourish like it should.
Okay. Let's start out with you, Wendy, and give us a little bit of background. I know you were part of one of our very first podcasts back, I believe in like late January, early February, but give us a little background of the theater, when it was opened, what was originally the idea for the theater back in, the 20s and 30s and 40s, and then now kind of what it's blossomed into.
It was built in 1914, opened in February of 1915, and it was built for silent movies and vaudeville because it was in that time frame. So it was built to buy Cresco. People had bought shares in the theater to build it, and they wanted live theater, they wanted movies, and it has an orchestra pit. At one time, it did have organ in it. So it was built to have live theater and movies in it. And throughout the 50s and 60s and into the 70s when it was closed for a while, it had live movies or had movies, live entertainment in it. And then in the 70s, it was remodeled. It went from 725 seats to 439. Ooh. Some of the original seats from the 70s are still in the balcony, and they're more comfortable.
They are actually
Yeah.
nice.
They're way more comfortable. That's a project in the future that we hope to tackle is new seating. I've examined that project, and it's expensive, but we'll get there. And now these days we have a lot more live entertainment. We've kind of figured out how to get that here. We have a lot of people that are renting the theater to do live entertainment. We have an amazing community theater group that does live theater here. And they have a huge following. People ask about it all the time. I get phone calls when they're going to be auditions, and I get them in January. So people are like 5 months ahead of schedule. We do have a lot of movies, and people can rent the building. We just had training here for CUSB, and we have 4-H awards coming up. So we can use the building for pretty much anything you would like to use it for.
And nowadays, I almost feel like that's the case. Any theater that's open, it's not just for theater. It's an entertainment palace, if you want to say. And that's what you guys are doing.
We've worked really hard to come up with to make it useful for anything. You can game on the big screen. We have a PA system. The basement was remodeled with a lot of volunteer hours so that you can have a birthday party downstairs and then come upstairs and either game on the big screen or watch a movie. The theater's really been, I don't know if retrofitted is the right word for it, but been revamped so that it can be used for as many things as you want. And it's all through volunteer hours and donations by the community and the city, so that we can use it as much as we can, because we want to use it for more than just showing movies. It's made to be a community resource, and that's what we're trying to use it for as much as possible.
And do you guys agree? I mean, that's the community has embraced this theater. It's taken its as its own. Obviously, it's run by the city, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So, what are some of your favorite memories that you guys can remember of? I mean, 79. You've been around for part of it since the late 90s. You said. What are some of your favorite memories that you guys can remember?
The friendships we've made here.
Yeah.
It's a constant. Once you've been on stage with someone, they are family forever.
Yeah.
You remember those shows, you remember those moments. It's the friendships.
Okay.
There's people that come and go from Cresco all the time, and you always, when you see them.
How has it changed since you guys first came in here?
Oh, boy.
And obviously, everything has changed. I mean, you're talking about 1979, the late 90s when you came around. That was before we had any of this technology.
Right.
But how has theater changed? Has it changed at all?
It's become very technical.
Yeah.
It's way out of my league anymore. We used to make everything. Everything was donated. We had to bring everything from scratch. We had no money. Now they press the button, they order 3 uniforms from somewhere, and they get.
And you get it tomorrow or something from Amazon Prime.
And it's less expensive than making it.
In a way, it's kind of lost its allure of theater in a little bit, because we've advanced so far into it that we've lost a little bit of what it is to be an actor. We have to be mic'd. Well, when we were early on stage, we were taught to throw your voice at the back wall. So you had to be loud, you had to project. And well, now the younger kids lose that because they're not taught that. They're not taught how to project and enunciate and use diction. So for me, theater has changed that way.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's not really the building per se, but theater in general has changed a lot. The building, though, I mean, physically has gone through a major transformation for all of us.
When was that renovation? That took place in 2014? And there's been stages, I know.
1979 was the
the
first
first
reopening.
one.
Yes.
It had been shuttered for a while, and George Champlin came in and got it reopened. They cleaned, they remodeled. The pictures are just incredible. And then in 2014, when management went from private to city owned, Dave was president of the commission, and just in 3 weeks, the cleaning alone was incredible, and people volunteered a ton of time, and that's when I was hired. And we just came in and cleaned and kind of rearranged or reformatted the lobby and figured things out on the fly.
Yeah.
I think that's a really easy way. And the interesting thing is the way I got started in the theater is CCT. I got talked into being on stage once.
Do we have footage of that, Christina?
Nope, and there's no picture in the lobby either. And then I started in lights. You probably have it. Got started on lights, and then once I got married, Dean started doing sound, and that's how I got started in the theater too, was in CCT. So we kind of all go back to CCT, community theater.
Before I ask Wendy, Wendy took over how many years ago? Like 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
7.5.
7.5. It's been a while. I should know this. For some reason, I thought it was a couple of years ago, but I should know
Keep
better.
trying.
How has Wendy done managing everything that's gone on, and how has it changed
Well,
the direction of the theater?
She had to deal with my 2 children, so I commend her for that. No, I think she's done a great job bringing young people in here, and especially younger people younger than 16 who bring in 14 and 15-year-olds that only can work to a certain time, for state law, but they learn what it's like to work, and they get their hands involved with it. Wendy's brought all kinds of live shows that we didn't have prior.
Mm-hmm.
We'd have one maybe a year or every 2 years, but now it's more every 3 months. We seem to have a new show coming through here, if not more often. So yeah, Wendy's been a great asset for CCT, for CTC, for the city of Cresco in this building. So
What are your thoughts, Ellen?
Before Wendy, and when I started here in 79, CCT people felt they kind of owned and ran the building, and we just kind of did whatever we wanted to. Wendy has brought very friendly law and order to the building, and we respect that, and I appreciate her very much being here. the venues she's brought in have been wonderful.
So I know how hard of a worker you are, Wendy, but okay, so from the day you took over till now, have you accomplished everything you've wanted within those 7.5 years? And I know sky's the limit, and you're thinking about a lot of other things, but let's start from day one to now. Have you accomplished kind of what you were thinking originally, or did things really take off in a way like, wow, I was actually able to do way more than I thought I could?
I think I always laugh because the job I interviewed for, I think none of us knew what we were getting into. Is that fair to say, Dave?
Yeah.
I don't think any of us knew what we were getting into because, like, I didn't realize that we didn't have toilet paper holders or like a mop bucket.
And let me tell you, the bathrooms are really nice. I don't have a problem going to the bathroom here whatsoever.
I didn't realize what we were getting into, but having the support of this, I mean, these people in the community and the commission and people that believe in you, like, it allows you to dream audaciously. And I have something that I'm working on that should come for the end of February, March, that has been a dream of mine that I didn't think was going to happen. And like, every time I get a little step closer.
Christina just did some weird dance. Did you catch yourself on that?
I know what she's doing. I know what she's talking about. She knows what I'm talking about. But every time, like, the next email or the next phone call happens, like, I just get goosebumps. Or there was a financial goal that we hit, and I went and talked to Dave about it. I had tears in my eyes because I didn't think we were ever going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And even rebounding from COVID and seeing, like, we've had so many live shows this year when so many places are just barely getting by.
Mm-hmm.
And these shuttered venue grants that we're getting, it's just incredible the things that we're able to accomplish, less than 12 months out of COVID. So it's just, have I accomplished everything? I've done more than I thought possible. And the things that I'm dreaming up next, and we're going to get to tuck point our building without using budgeted funds. We're going to get to put windows in without using budgeted funds. Those are things that are insane. Like, normal city-owned buildings don't get to do that.
So how, for other theaters that may be struggling out there, and I mean, don't get me, I mean, this is just, Cresco is what, 3,800 people, 4,000?
Mm-hmm.
It's small, and you guys are able to have a lot of success and gain people from probably coming all the way from the Twin Cities, all the way east to the Quad Cities, maybe west and southwest to Des Moines. How are you guys able to be successful and then garner the funds that you need to continue to be and go on that course to be successful?
Just write every grant that's out there. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fail, but you have to ask people's opinions. I'm not smart enough to do this on my own. I ask people's opinion and listen and be humble. Be okay with being wrong and be okay to know you don't know enough to do it by yourself. There's people that have done things. Dave runs a successful business. Ellen's been doing this a lot longer, and they farm. Like, they have ideas, they have knowledge that I don't have. Ask people questions and don't think you know it all.
What do you guys want next? It's 2021, almost 2022. From let's obviously just go from the citizen level. What else would you want to bring in here? What are you guys hearing in the community for Wendy to bring in? Maybe just not just in Cresco, maybe in Howard County, Wenatchee County, Chickasaw County, and beyond, say Iowa. What else needs to come to the Cresco Theater?
I'd like to see local bands, like a battle of the bands, something like that. I always thought it'd be cool to have come roll through here and have a showcase high school talent. And we've done talent shows and stuff like that in the past, but I just think it'd be really cool to have a battle of the bands that, over a weekend or something like that.
Ellen, I'm putting you on the spot. What do you think?
I think bringing in more of the live performances, even from other cities around us, if they could come and perform. We've had, many, many years ago, we had a opera come from, I don't remember where, but it was something people have never seen. We've had a lot of musical productions that were brought in. One of Rick Nance brought in several choirs from different colleges. And that was quite unusual.
I'm sorry. Here I am cutting you off, and I'm just like, Ellen, you're done.
I was just finished. Those types of things are just fun.
And the reason I ask that question is because I'm going to steer it to Wendy then. Where do you get your inspiration and ideas for bringing different genres here? If it's opera, if it's battle of the bands, if it's something school related. Where is it coming from the community request? Is it something that like, oh, this would be cool? Where are you getting some of your inspiration?
A lot of people contact me, but I also want to mix it up. I don't want like country. I also like a lot of different genres of stuff. And then looking towards what can we do? What's different? What can we do differently? I have an artist that wants to come back. But I look at the calendar and be like, okay, it needs to be a minimum of 6 months because it'll burn things out. And then, okay, this artist is exactly like this other artist that we just have. We need to push that out further. I'd really like to see more a difference of like, I'd like to bring dance in or do one-man plays, or there's a grant that I just got that would help. I just got notified that would help bring stuff to the Cresco Theater that would help veterans and active servicemen that would do things for them that would be outside the clinical setting. So there's just a lot of different information out there, but it's just a lot of juggling. So
it's not just, first person that comes here, yep, we're gonna schedule them. There's a very methodical approach.
It's just looking at the calendar. I'm also very aware of what's going on in the community. So if there's like the junior high play, we're not stepping on that. And then if it's Snowfest, I'm not scheduling on top of that because I want to be a good neighbor. I mean, if that's the right word, but a good neighbor, because we don't want to schedule on top of things because I want to support the arts in whatever form they are. And the junior high kids could be the next kids that are on stage here. So we want to support them and say, hey, go to that. And then like Snowfest brings a lot of people to Cresco. So let's like, if their wives or kids are not out on the trail, then they could potentially come here. It's the same reason that we close during the fair. One, it lets CCT be on stage. Two, it also supports that event.
It's amazing to be able to think like that. And I think a lot more communities should, but how many communities are out there that's actually run through the city? That way that partnership can take place. A lot of times theaters are out for theaters, right? I mean,
there's a couple out there. My booking agent and I talk about it. He has 7 other city-owned theaters, but
in Iowa or
in the 5-state region.
Okay.
But if I'm not like, it's not just like it's still a business, and that's that mindset of running it. It's still a business, and I'm still trying to be that good neighbor. So, I mean, no, I'm trying to look around and be like, so if Dave was running a
ice cream shop, you look like you did. Yeah, there you go. Ice cream
but
shop.
like rugby. So you used to play rugby. One of your kids still plays rugby. So he's got a rugby match on a Friday. I'm not going to plan an outdoor movie that starts before his kid's rugby match is over. So if I started at 9:30, so that's a good time. So those kids will be done at 9. So if I have a food truck and a movie, there's a good chance that I'm going to get those rugby players because they're starving after they're done.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I have it in the street next to Atomic, parents can eat and drink, and then I can have their kids in the street.
Okay.
So it's just a matter of like working those things out so that we can get maximum community support, but also not stepping on that next event. Just trying to put all the puzzle pieces together to make everybody happy without stepping on another event.
2 more questions, and then we're going to get to some of the haunted stuff. What's coming up in the next year for the theater for entertainment? Some things you can talk about, some things maybe you can't.
My next 3 things, I've got Rocky Horror Picture Show next weekend.
Which is a Halloween tradition. It's been going on for a long time.
It will be my 8th year showing it.
Have you guys gone?
Yeah.
So it's
like,
not
yeah.
scary. It's a B-rated film. And the funny line that I like is you can tell a lot about a person from what movie you know Tim Curry from. So if you don't know, you just need to go Google Tim Curry Rocky Horror Picture Show. So I encourage costumes. I encourage props. No water guns. No hot dogs.
Wait, why not hot dogs?
We're not touching that with a 10-foot pole tonight, Chris. If you come, you won't, because I showed at midnight. But it's super fun. It's $5 a piece. You have to be 18. We're just leaving it at that.
Yep.
It's a lot of fun. I staff it. I'm the one who stays up all night because we showed at midnight. Doors open at 11:30.
Very cool.
It's the 8th year. You definitely dress up. Remember, it's cold. Think about that when you plan your costume. It will be cold. And then after that, It'll on 11/20 we have a rockabilly holiday show. Dave's son Donovan will be singing before it. We have some local talent singing at 7, and at 7:30 we will have the show, and it'll be David Kay. He'll be doing a bunch of different people Buddy Holly, Jerry Lee Lewis, Roy Orbison, and then he's got some other friends with him. And then on the 4th of December, we will have an Elvis Christmas tribute show with Joseph Hall. He's phenomenal. That'll be a good show. And then we have some Christmas movies scattered in there that are hosted by several different businesses. It's all on Facebook, all on our website. If you stop at the theater, I will have a handout available Wednesday. And then, as always, we show Die Hard on December 18th after our regular show because it is a Christmas movie.
Christmas movie or not Christmas movie?
Christmas movie.
Okay.
Christmas movie.
Okay.
It's a Christmas movie. I said so.
It's not a Christmas movie.
Born right, always right. Chris, you're wrong.
You're too young to know any better.
You're like 4 years older than me. Same with you.
I don't care. I'm still right.
That's true. Continue.
So, and then I've got some fun stuff planned for next year. The only firm date I have is April 4th, and that will be a Johnny Cash tribute with Mitchell Hall in the Tennessee
That'll be a
Trio.
big one.
He's really good. He's 23 and he's really good.
Okay. That's a little bit of what's going on throughout the year. This is going to kind of transition to the Halloween stuff. You look outside this building, and I think it's a masterpiece outside. It just looks like if you look at it, you'd be surprised, I think. And this is not a knock on Cresco or any small town. You'd be like, I can't believe this is in our small town. It could be in Chicago. It could be Des Moines, LA, wherever. But you walk inside, and it's even more of a masterpiece. Give us a little tour inside of, and I know it's hard because you don't have visuals, but what it all looks like inside for someone that's never been here. Kind of the feel.
Do you want to
There's
start in
two
the lobby, or
stages.
do you-
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you walk in and up into the lobby. So there's about 8 steps you get into the lobby, and then there is a beautiful chandelier that didn't used to work. It's amazing when you put new light bulbs and things, and paint. There's a grand chandelier and then 2 smaller lobby chandeliers. On the east side of the building is the ticket counter. On the west side is our concession counter. Then you go into the inner lobby where there's side staircases that go into the balcony, and there's a curved wall with our logo on it. And then you go in, and then underneath of the balcony, and the real showstoppers when you come out from underneath the balcony, and you can see the gold leaf and the stage. Everything is painted by the Reilly brothers. Everything on the front of the stage was hand detailed. All of the painting with the cherubs and the clouds, that was all hand detailed by Ron. But Dennis and Ron do an incredible job. All the gold leaf on the ceiling was donated in memory of their grandmother. It's just an incredible building. You really need to come see it. If you've never been here before, you can always call and we will be happy to give you a tour. It's my favorite place. Literally, I'll come here if I'm having a bad day and just sit on the top of the balcony stairs.
Yeah. It just has an amazing feel to it. Can you guys remember the first time you were in here, Ellen?
It would have been when we were grand opening, and it was redone in a whole different style at that time. The Reillys have done this 3 times now. And it's full of electricity. In fact, it used to have more electricity in it. I mean, it was just, when you were on stage, there was sparks flying everywhere. They're just tremendous. Really, there was tremendous energy in this building. And one thing I remember about the chandelier, when they started redoing this building, they found the chandelier. They had no idea where it went.
That's crazy.
And one day they were tearing out a big board in the lobby, and there was the pedestal for the chandelier.
Wow.
And
And it stops you. I mean, if you don't notice it when you walk in, there's something wrong with you. Your vision needs to be corrected.
And I remember I belonged to a group, Welcome Wagon. Oh my, this was a few years ago. And we volunteered to wash the chandelier, all the glass, and they said, no, they wouldn't let us touch it.
And you, Dave?
I did wash that chandelier.
Yeah.
They
It took
wouldn't
5
let us.
hours.
And you painted around that chandelier.
Around that. I just remember as a kid growing up watching movies here, and I always joked. I love coming to movies, and there was a gentleman by the name of Laverne Butcher that was the kind of the manager. Oh, if you didn't know him, he was the most gruff man. I mean, he would yell at you and he'd kick you out. Da, da, da. And it's
You
funny.
do any of that? You kick anybody out?
I give him 2 options. Let's let him tell the story and then I'll tell you my options.
It's funny to transcend from that kid that was getting kicked out to being the father now. Hey, shut up there, and
He yells at people.
and I yell at him now. Yeah,
Yeah, you gotta.
So Laverne and I became really good friends because in high school I'd come here by myself to watch movies and we'd hang out front and talk, and so those are my memories of the people associated with the building itself.
Mm-hmm.
It was more of that. But with the building, I wanted to touch base on, you mentioned like Chicago. This actually is a 1/8 replica of the Chicago Theater,
Which is crazy.
which is
my
the
goodness.
Chicago Theater looks like this inside. Is what I'm told.
It does.
So-
We saw Les Mis in the Chicago Theater.
So
That tells you how special this place is. All right, so you've kicked people out.
I give them 2 choices.
What are the 2 choices?
They can sit down, shut up, and watch the movie, put their phone away, or they can come in the lobby and call their parents on my phone and explain to them why they're getting kicked out and why they're calling their parents on my phone. I don't need friends. I need people to do what they're supposed to do. I tell my staff that too. His children have heard that.
yes.
I'm surprised I haven't heard it. You probably have thought it, you just never said it. All right, we're going to get to the questions that I know you guys are excited about. Me. So I'll give you a little bit of background.
I know what matters.
Right. So Cresco Theater, obviously over 100 years old. There's a lot of energy. Any theater that you go to, and if you believe in the paranormal, you're probably going to believe that if a theater's been around for a while and all the energy, that there may be some paranormal activity that goes on. So I remember the first time, this is just about a year ago, actually, when Wendy and I started talking and we came here to do the town to town. Very first thing that struck me immediately was the Cresco Theater, thinking like, I got to get in there. I got to be able to see if it's haunted. I want to be able to see what it all has to offer. And that's really how, my company and where we've gone is because of the relationship that I've had with Wendy, but also the Cresco Theater. But the Cresco Theater, obviously being, as they say, haunted. I've been here a few times, and I've always been kind of a skeptic of it. First couple times, I'm like, maybe it is haunted. We spent some time here last night. So Christina and our medium and friend Natasha, she has a business in Osage. We spent some time, about 2 hours here last night. And I kind of came away even more of a skeptic. I don't know if this place is haunted or not. Yeah. And you guys are, and that's why I'm thinking like, all right, we're going to have both ways, right? So Ellen and Dave, both, you guys are believers, 100%. There's something that's here. Wendy, you've been here for 7.5 years. You 100% are like, no way, this is not haunted. Give me your insight of why you don't think
Don't
it's
you want to
haunted.
listen to them first?
Nope. Because we're going to kick you out at some point here.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I spend the most time here, most time by myself.
Mhm.
Dean's here, Christina's here, Jeff's here. I don't turn the lights on most of the time. I run around here in the dark. Nothing bothers me. I've never had any experiences here that would give me any reason to think that it's haunted.
Now, do you believe there are ghosts or paranormal? Does that exist in your mind or just not here?
I believe that there is a spirit world. I don't believe there's ghosts.
So what's the difference in your mind?
I would be more along like religious spirit world, not like
Random people walking around after they die? Okay. So you've never had an experience here?
No.
Interesting. And how long have you been coming here? 7.5 years?
as a manager. Yeah, longer than that.
Longer than that.
As like here.
Okay. What I
Making
found
faces at me.
What I found interesting, and Natasha actually shared this with me today. So she's a medium, and she'll talk about this probably in 15 minutes whenever we pull her down. She mentions that everyone that's here, entity-wise, they won't mess with you. They believe that you are the boss. They do not want to upset you, and they just leave you alone.
Two other people.
Have you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
During Ride I had two other people tell me that.
They're afraid you're going to make them call your parents.
Do you want me to call your? Do you want me to go call Pat?
But true or not, and now that's 3 different people that have said that. That's got to make you feel good. Like, okay, you're doing your job.
Why do I care what they think?
Who, the entities?
Yes. I don't care what you think. Why would I care what they think?
This is your people that are looking at you right now in all of Cresco, United States. You don't care what they think? United States. Not at all? No.
Dean, do I care what other people think? My husband is here, by the way. Yeah, I'm not one of those people that really truly care what other people think. Is that a fair statement?
But I think there's a difference between caring what people think and having others appreciate you for your work.
I would rather be behind the scenes and make things successful. I want this to be successful. Like, I don't need attention.
But you're doing a good job, and I think they're mentioning that. That person and that person and that person and that person. So just say thank you. Thank you, Spirit. Gosh, you're such a pain in the ass. All right.
Takes one to know one. Hey, can we?
This is Dean,
Jeff.
Wendy's husband.
Yeah, you're not gonna win, Chris. You're just not. You're digging.
I know. I could just see it in her eyes. I'm like, why am I even talking to her? Good thing she's almost leaving here. By the way, thanks for letting us do this. Let's talk to you two. All right. Obviously, you guys have experiences. I remember yours. I'm going to start with Dave. Your experiences here at the Cresco Theater from a paranormal standpoint.
First, I mean, you heard the stories, and obviously I grew up in a haunted house. So knowing that is a real thing, and the things that I endured growing up, which wasn't fun, I could sugarcoat it. Coming here, especially when we were remodeling, and I was here alone painting, it is not right. It's unsettling. For me, it was very unsettling to be in this building by myself. It's dark. It's just the sounds, it's nothing. But that nothing is, for me, you should hear something. It's just, there's nothing. It just feels like you're being watched.
Okay.
It's unsettling. It really is.
Can I ask you about your past with your haunted house that you were talking about? That.
Yeah, I grew up with a family of 8. I had 3 sisters and 3 brothers, or 2 brothers, excuse me. And where I live, which my brother lives now, only 3 of us ever had an issue. My sister Barb, my mother, and myself. And growing up, we had a ghost named Fred. That was, Mom would say, well, I was just Fred. You know, when I was a little kid, what was that? Well, I was just Fred. Don't worry about it. Didn't think anything of it until you started seeing shadows and certain things move, and you never could catch them, but it happened. And then when you get into like my junior high years in early high school, and the door starts to open on its own, and you see the doorknob open and the door open, and you yell at it to stop, and it stops for a while, to walking beside your bed, and then all of a sudden it's on the other side of your bed, but it didn't go around your bed. It's just, there are things that happened that made you fall asleep very fast.
Yeah.
My sister had a shadow sit on her bed and watch her sleep. My best friend in the world was shaken one night awake, and he was like, well, what's going on? If that was me, and he saw the shape walk out, and he could hear me snoring in my bedroom. We were the only ones in my house. So there's a lot of things. And we've had my girlfriend, but my wife now, we were outside, and there was a tap on the window in the attic, and a green light flashed. But you couldn't walk in my attic at night. There was no floor.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a lot of things that happened there that followed me to my current house.
It followed you?
That's followed me now to my business after I finally realized what it's attached to.
It's attached to you.
No, it's attached to a wood stove that we have.
What?
I brought 2 things from my house, a dollhouse, which, yes, stupid, and a for my daughter, and a wood stove.
I'm glad you clarified.
I burnt the dollhouse. It's gone.
You burned it.
Well, I didn't know which one it was. So
Were you instructed to burn it from people?
I just took care of it. And then I brought the wood stove to my shop, thought that was it. And now I have things that happen in the shop. Very minor. Somebody's always watching though. Have cameras I can see everywhere from my office. There's things that move.
And you've caught things.
I've seen, you never see it directly. But you see things move by the cameras. Yeah. So, and I have an actual picture of my house of a shadow. I took a burst of 100 pictures one night. My blind deaf dog barking at nothing, and I come down and I took a burst of pictures in one shot in the middle of that. I mean, they're all one picture except for that one, and I saved the two pictures side by side.
Yeah.
And it's uncanny.
That's unbelievable. So is your brother's place haunted now that you grew up in, or has that left now because you brought?
No, he says his daughter has some things that.
How old is the house? How many generations has it been in the family?
It's been in the family since the late 60s.
Okay.
So it was built in the 1880s.
Okay. That makes sense. So here, have there been experiences for you specifically here? Can you give us like some examples?
Well, paranormal, not standing right there with Karen Lefebvre, who I've been on stage with for many years. We had a brick from flying down from right up there, right between us.
Don't get any ideas.
And then the biggest one for me was working here for Beauty and the Beast. And a young lady was up in the prop booth. She went in, I watched her go in. I did my thing. I kept hearing something. And I don't know what it was, but I was down below. And then she finally come running up screaming in tears. She was locked up there for about 15 minutes. Couldn't get out. And you go up and there's just the locks on the inside. So.
Yeah, we tried getting in there last night. It was
I
locked.
didn't unlock it.
I know, but we went in there last year when we investigated, and we had a camera on the doll that was up there, and an actual orb came out of the doll right when we walked in. It was pretty cool.
That poor girl.
The
was
creepy
terrible.
doll.
Yeah. So those are some of your experiences.
Yep.
You're a firm believer that this place is haunted.
Haunted, but not maliciously haunted. Like there's entities or spirits that live here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ellen, give me the lowdown. I've heard some of your stories. I think from you last year a little bit, but I also had some from Wendy. But I want to hear it all.
The place is, obviously theater is magic. And a lot of things happen that you just don't understand. The brick falling, these types of things happen in this theater.
Yeah.
I have been up here after everybody leaves, you're alone on the stage painting the floor. And after about so long, you are being watched.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very eerie feeling, and it is very still. I would come here on my lunch hours and work in the costume room, and many times I'd have to go down to the green room, which is right under the stage. We had to, well, the lighting system was different back then, so I would run through the theater in the dark. There was always someone standing in that corner watching me. It was a man.
You could see it.
No, but it was there. Oh, I could feel it. And I would run down, flip over into the pit here, go into the green room, click on the light. And I was fine. And I haven't felt him in a long time. I have sat back there just to be near him. I have learned from Wendy's people that have come here how to interpret how I feel about these feelings, the sounds you hear, the steps that they take coming upstairs, opening and shutting doors, turning the knobs and shutting the door because it pops open all the time unless you shut it just right. And there's no one there. And you're alone in the theater and you're just going, yeah, sure. I have found candy in very unusual places. Candy
Can't blame that one on me. Not always.
Skittles that they must, I don't know if they picked them up off the floor or they used to have the candy room up on top there. And they were places that only I would probably be looking and they would startle me. Who's doing this to me? Talking to many of the people that have come here, I've learned to appreciate these little people. They're just wanting me to we're here.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. Now, if I don't want them to bother me, I tell them, hey, I'm here working, leave me alone, and they do. They've hidden jackets on me. They've helped me find things now when I ask them. I'm very comfortable with them now, and they're not malicious. They're very comfortable.
So what is your most memorable experience with the paranormal for you specifically? I'm sure I think I've heard a couple of yours. Give us, if there's one or two that you can think of that people are going to be like, wow.
Well, when the person, they don't use all the steps. They kind of start halfway up. Boom, 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 boom. You hear them go over. You hear them shut the door.
So you've heard that.
Oh, yes.
That's awesome.
I was in the costume room going.
Wendy's like.
And I was going, nobody and then they never leave you. They never go back down the steps. So you run out there and there's no one there. I work in the costume room a lot. And
So that's where our medium Tasha is right now. She's going to come down in about 5 minutes.
I've heard them walking down here. And I always figure they're just wondering why the light to the green room is on. But when I come down, there's still no one in the theaters.
So you talked about the footsteps. I'm just going to interject for a second. So last night, the only experience that I really had, these two were down here. I think you guys were that seemed to be the active. 115, that seat was really, really active. Really? Figured out there might have been some electricity that was bringing something around there. Mm-hmm. But I was sitting in that back corner, and I actually was on Facebook Live. And I heard like footsteps, just two. And I'm like, did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear that? And they're like, no. I'm like, and it didn't pick up on Facebook Live either. So, it was literally, and it sounded like footsteps because I had to look twice to see if they were both there or if somebody else was back there. Nope.
But when you have gone up and down the steps in the theater there, you know what it sounds like. Crunch. You can hear the carpet and you can hear their footsteps.
Unless you're in the projection room, you can tell when somebody's coming.
Yeah.
That's what it sounded like. And I'm not even BS. That's the only experience that I really had last night.
Another time that really startled me was, and I don't tell where this place is in the theater. It's always bothered me. And I went over and I pulled some costume back and there was candy in it. And I did jump back. It really startled me. Well,
if there are costumes there, I'm guessing it was the costume room or the green room.
In the costume.
Okay.
Most of my experiences have been in the costume.
Okay. Have you guys seen any full apparitions or any ghosts or anything with your eyes?
Not here in this theater. I have in my family home.
You have? Mm-hmm. Let me hear about that.
I was in high school. I was probably a senior, and all my brothers and sisters had moved away, so I was alone. And I started hearing footsteps coming up the stairs. We lived in an older home. And, you weren't scared. It never scared me, but it happened quite a few nights in a row. And one evening I woke up, there was a apparition. It was just there, and I tried to talk to it. I even shut my eyes and reopened it. And it was just smiling at me, and then I could see through it, and it just vaporized. It just kind of disappeared.
I want to say
Very
one thing.
Unusual.
I'm just going to interject for 1 second here. So there's a woman on here, Stacy. She said, I was watching your live last night and heard it, but then when I replayed it, I don't know if that is even possible, but I thought I heard it when you did that, which is crazy. So she must have heard it. The footsteps I'm referring to. Sorry, I should have said the footsteps. She heard it live, but then when people played it back, they didn't hear it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that was. So did that happen a lot?
That was only, later. It woke me up and it tried to get me down to the basement. And I have talked to people about this experience, and they, comforted me on this, that, it probably really was something pulling you down there.
Yeah.
But when I did see a whoosh, as it went around a corner and it ran up against a baking sheet that my mother had on the wall. And these are sounds you can't make up. And a mouse can't jump up that high and hit that baking sheet, where it was hanging. So it was something. And when I got to the basement door, I opened the door and looked down going, what am I doing? What is drawing me? What has pulled me down here? And I really don't know. I've had someone visit with me about that, which I don't care to talk about at this time. But I mean, there was something that pulled me down there.
Oh, interesting. All right, let's change spots. Wendy, thank you. It's time for you to leave. Natasha? So we'll introduce Natasha. Oh, yes, and Stacy said she heard the footsteps. So that is interesting. They heard the footsteps live, but didn't hear it recording, of course. So Natasha, this is Ellen, this is Dave. So Natasha, I refer to Natasha as a medium, but you also are a angel reader.
Yes.
So explain a little bit about your abilities. I don't know what's the best way of saying it.
Basically, I just read energy. So if it's a living person's energy or people who have passed on or people that have passed on that are connected to someone. So I usually sit down and do one-on-one sessions. So typically not in a room by myself trying to connect with someone. So that's new for me, but.
Okay. Let's talk about a little bit about last night, because you guys have both been in the theater at night alone. And to you guys, does it have a different feeling at night than it does during the day?
No.
No?
No. Just when you're by yourself.
It's very quiet. And you learn, the curtains are always going to be moving like this from the light. You learn what is natural, what's normal happening.
Okay. What was your first, Natasha, what was your first feel when you came in here? And then also talk about a little bit of your experiences from last night.
It's very intense, not like a bad feeling really. It's just like you almost walk into spots where you feel it shift and change. So the intensity varies. And I mean, the temperature I'm sure does anyways, but you come and go into spots that are warm and now suddenly they're cold. And I think that was the very first thing I noticed coming in through the curtain. And then we went down to the green room. And when Christina opened the door, it was like pushed you back. And then
Have you guys had experiences in the green room?
The green room is sometimes uncomfortable, yeah.
That's how we were feeling.
And that's, I think Christina said the
that.
same thing. You were really uncomfortable there yesterday, weren't you?
Yeah, yesterday it was really intense. Like I went down there like later today because I was in the theater for over an hour by myself today.
Yeah.
And I was okay. Like, and I'm usually okay when I'm here, but last night in the green room, it was
The bathroom, for some reason,
I thought the
was
same
really,
thing.
yes. Like I actually felt like I wanted to step in and I was stopped. And I wasn't quite sure why, but coming into those spots yesterday was first experiences.
So personally for me, the first time that I was here when we did the investigation last year, the downstairs green room, and especially back by the bathroom and the mirrors facing the bathroom, was a little bit creepy, I thought, or eerie. That's how I like to explain it. Last year, you guys know Tara, she thought she saw a face in the mirror. I can't remember if she saw do you remember if she saw the face in the mirror shadow? Yeah. Was it in the bathroom or was it looking at the green room?
It was in the back. And she watched it go into the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, I mean, maybe that's something that we thought about too when we were down there. But even without knowing that, I felt like that was probably the spot last night that I felt the creepiest, the eerie.
The most energy.
Most energy. So we did that. And then we decided to go from the green room right through here. And we had that first row seemed to be a hot spot for us, right?
Yeah. And a couple of things that I had I guess, kind of picked up, I felt like somebody came up behind us when we came through the door there, but I also felt like it was just like a grumpy man who wanted us out of his space, that he works down there and we shouldn't be in that space. But I also picked up in this chair over here, it felt like an older energy, but maybe not one that had passed that long ago, that he frequented very regularly, that was his spot in that area. But
You guys laughed a little bit about the old guy, and you said a name.
Boney, right?
Boney.
Boney.
I never put a name to my guy. But
Well-
Boney.
But there was a gentleman that they used to live upstairs when they ran the theater. So that
Where the
was their
costume
actual,
is.
the costume, that's their living quarters.
Okay.
I don't remember the gentleman's name. I will butcher it if I do remember it, but everyone kind of said it was like a Boo Radley looking type guy. You know, he's very tall, lanky, and I mean Boney. They call him Boney. Everybody, if you talk about it, people talk about Boney.
Yeah.
When we had the first paranormal investigators many years ago, they claimed there were 3 entities here: an old man, a young child, and a woman. And we all kind of claimed that everyone says the same thing, that the man is Boney. He's still watching over the place. So
And would that make sense to you?
that's what I picked up even before I came here. And the woman,
The woman was the one
Yes.
that you really had a connection with,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
yeah, let's hear about that.
so I mean, it was probably maybe even a week before we were going to do this.
Yeah.
I started to just pick up things, like I could feel this woman come into my energy, and very, very sweet, very kind. Like I felt like she was kind of this socialite that loved everybody and wanted to chat. And she was giving me some images of like her, I don't know if her perfume bottle was moved or missing, but people smelling perfume. But very much a connection. Like I just wanted to be in that costume room because of her. And she had given me some information too, that there was, I was picturing a little boy actually coming in and out of the curtains. And then the man, I felt aggressive, but not like in a malevolent way, just that he was very much in charge and this was his space, and he was going to let you know.
So the past paranormal investigators, they picked up on the 3.
Yep.
Since then, there's been other paranormal investigators, and I could ask Wendy about this too. What have they picked up? Has there been anything that was shocking to you too?
I don't know. I guess I haven't, since the first one, I haven't really heard much about the other ones. I know there's been quite a few though.
Okay.
So
The young children is, the candy and this type of thing, the pranks they have pulled on me. I was glad to hear it was a young child, if that's what it is.
Yeah.
And the gentleman, it's the same as my man back in the corner. They're always watching me. What's she doing here? Is she going to get in trouble? Very much, could very easily be Boney.
Yeah. Okay, so we spent some time there, and you had a chance to obviously think about this for almost a little less than 24 hours. What else did you think that you felt? So we spent some time here. We eventually went up in the balcony. We went up in the costume room. Kind of give us what you felt, play by play for the rest of the night.
I felt like there were main energies, but I did feel at many times we were kind of surrounded. Like I think from maybe different layers of time, like different individuals that have had a part in the theater, and
But maybe ones that don't spend a lot of time here, but you could communicate with.
I think just their energy is very present.
Okay.
Because last night I wasn't getting so much of like images coming into my mind as I was just general feelings, general emotions, it being like going from, very intense to very warm and quiet, like that. It's almost like that's the building breathing with that energy that's here.
Yeah.
And I think that some of it, so my perspective has completely changed since I've been upstairs, and this morning too. So
even from what was,
I feel like I understand the experiences I had. So I'm trying to go back to what I was feeling in that moment,
Okay.
as opposed to what I'm feeling about it now. But all the energy that is here and all the experiences, both yesterday and today, I feel they're protective. This is their home. Their energy's here, and none of it feels negative. Just that man who wants to be boss, but all very positive things. And I wish we could have and we may have some things on my camera now.
oh really?
I wish we could have got that big one thing that was like, yeah,
We're believers now.
that's a ghost, but
Yeah.
it's more of the feelings that you pick up in here.
I think all four of us and everyone in this room, if you believe in the paranormal or not, this does have a special feel. And yeah, the lights, when maybe they go out, you get a little eerie, especially when you're alone. But one thing that I want to ask you about, I think you mentioned this today too, is we'll just call them what they are, ghosts or whatever, spirits, what they think of Wendy. Maybe it's different than what I think of Wendy, or is it about the same?
Well, do you want me to go into what happened up there yet? Because that's a lot of it too.
Is that a tie?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. So talk maybe everything that you mentioned last night. Is there anything else, any highlights that you want to talk about from last night before we get to tonight?
I'm still kind of buzzing from upstairs.
So
think about, because I know
we gave viewers an idea of what we did last night. So there was a movie that played until 9:41 last night. Wendy gave us the opportunity to investigate from, how long were we here, guys?
I think we were here until almost 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. So approximately 3 hours we spent. And just like last time we were here, all of a sudden you look and it's like, oh my gosh, it's 1 o'clock. It flies by. To me, it's amazing, and I could spend a lot of time here. But for you, no. Could you imagine me working for you?
I would pay his salary.
You're right, you would.
To watch that, I would pay his salary.
You wouldn't have any Laffy Taffy left or water. It would all be gone. You could probably pay me in that. Deal.
that was kind of funny last night. We
What's
were
that?
trying to do this investigation, and you just come in and sit down.
And I'm eating Laffy Taffy. That's why I gave you $10. I had a couple Laffy Taffy. Yep. Okay, so everything cleared up from last night. Something was different today for you.
Yes.
Oh, let's back up. Talk about this.
Well, I brought this because this is part of what I'm going to talk about with Wendy, and then with what I was doing upstairs.
So the difference from last year to this year is we didn't have equipment. We just used, besides our Facebook Live and the camera, which picked up orbs. This time, we brought the medium, which is Natasha. She has that. Plus, we had a spirit box. We had the electromagnetic machine. We had, is it those two? Do we have anything else? Flashlights.
And we used infrared camera.
And we use infrared camera. So we had a lot of different pieces of equipment, a lot of devices. Go ahead.
What were you asking me?
Well,
to talk about this?
I wanted you to talk about that, but if that ties into what happened today and why you decided to bring that stuff, just, yeah.
If it
Whatever
ties into
makes sense.
Wendy.
Well, so this morning, actually, I it just kind of came into my mind, and they were telling me that we needed a different approach to how we were investigating. And I went into I was seeing some things in regard to Wendy, and that they don't really try to mess with her because they have so much respect for her. They don't want her to leave. They don't want her to they just leave her alone because she is boss. They very much respect her because of everything she's done and all the ways. I was getting images of like every detail of this building down to the soap in the bathroom you're dedicated to.
What kind of
That
soap
you
do you
just-
put in the bathroom?
that
I need
you
that
just
for my
leave-
bathroom.
That you live and breathe it.
Which is true. I give you a hard time, but you live and breathe this theater, and it's better because of you. So good work. Continue.
But there's so much gratitude towards her and so much respect, and they don't want to create this space that connects in any way to anything that's frightening. You know, there's little experiences on a personal level, and I think it probably is the connection to people who work here, mostly, not so much outsiders, because they want the energy in here. They want people in here. They want to see it stay as it is. And they were giving me some images of you like going home and trying to go to bed and not being able to sleep because you're just going through your mind on what you're going to do to perfect this one piece or do this one thing.
What are you smiling about, Wendy?
That is Wendy.
I know it is.
Just
And you don't know Wendy. You don't know her. I mean, you met her for the first time last night, right?
But they said that the connection runs very deep, almost like kind of in a spiritual sense, that your energy was called to come here because they knew that you would protect it and take care of it, keep it going. So like all the energy that's in here, all the entities that I picked up.
How many did you pick up? You think
Well,
altogether?
I don't know. It was hard to, because it wasn't coming through so specific as like I knew I was connecting to that woman, and I was picking her up upstairs, but I felt like it was just like a collaboration of energy altogether that was coming in to let me know of some things. And do you want me to keep going with?
Yep.
Okay, so I went up there. Terrified. Like, and this is really out of character for me that I even volunteered. So that was part of this morning too, that I like just felt like I needed to go in there. I needed to go in there alone and get over my fears and just do it and be in the space in the dark by myself.
Because that's typically not something you do.
No.
You have people that come to you
Yes.
to talk about these things. You're not going out there to investigate the paranormal.
Right.
Even though you connect with it.
And I like to incorporate things like this just to read energy itself, to measure it just as extra validation. But this is really the first time I've gone in with intent to connect to, souls in a space, not connected necessarily to one person. So I have, a human body there that I can kind of anchor my energy in that makes me feel safe. So this was just like, it was really intense when I first walked in there, but
I will say the same thing, and I don't want to cut you off. So last night we went in there, and I told you guys both, like I was not feeling it. I went in there with you tonight, and it was a completely different feeling.
Well, and we consistently got zeros up there. I don't think we even got like minor spikes.
Did you feel anything last night up there?
No.
Yeah, I mean, there was nothing.
Like air pressure, kind of like it was pressure, but it wasn't tied to anything.
I'll be frank, and that's how I am. I was bored. I'm like, okay, I'm done here.
It was a pretty boring space last night.
But I went in there with you for what, 30 seconds? I'm like, yep, this place feels a little bit different tonight.
Well, I walked in and I'm trying to like calm my nerves, and I have my phone and I'm recording and I'm talking because the talking is making me feel a little safe, even if it's to myself.
Like
but
if I die here, something happens, at least someone will hear it.
yeah. But when I first walked in, this shot up to, I think it was 117. So that caught my attention. But it shot up and then it went back down. So I was walking around trying to figure out, okay, we've got the sign out front. Are we picking up some electrical?
Okay, so last night, what did we consider was a lot on that meter?
I think was our highest, like
By the floor,
19 for a
No,
second.
23.2?
I got it. I took a picture.
It was in the 23, but it was because of the electricity.
It was 23.2.
Yeah. So we put it right down on the floor, and we validated with Wendy, there's all kinds of wires down there. So that was debunked. But you actually had it in your hand.
Well, I was walking, I was by the window where the table is, and I was walking up to get my equipment situated. I just had this running, and I was setting it down on the table, and it shot up to 117. And I stood there like.
Is that the highest you've ever seen?
Well, in that moment, yes. But so I had this out. I put the flashlights out. I put the flashlights out just kind of as an easy way. Like I'll do that in readings too. Like left will be yes, right will be no. Sometimes I'll put one in the middle as kind of like I don't want to answer yes or no.
And you'll get a response by a flickering or buzzing of some sort.
It'll shut off, come back on.
Okay.
And I'll set that out and just leave it because it's easy. You don't have to mess with it. You'll notice if the light goes out. So I put those out. I had this going. I had an infrared camera that I had going too, which, by the way, it was freaking me out so bad. I just set it in a space. So I'm going to have to go back and look at that. But I was catching like what looked like orbs coming and going.
Okay.
But
which makes sense to what we saw last year. 100%. We were seeing.
Last year was insane with orbs up there, and that's when I had.
You had that experience where you had goosebumps
I
and
was
shaking.
and ice cold, and it was. And you were standing next to me, Wendy.
Yeah. Wendy.
Like right next to me.
Wendy is so bored right now. Continue.
So I kind of periodically tried to walk towards the back part. That's really what was kind of making me anxious. But as I got more comfortable, I was kind of feeling like that was maybe an area you just weren't supposed to hang out in while it was open, that you wanted to stay more towards the other door. So I don't know if I was just picking up on that, but.
Because where does that door lead? That door leads to this side. Okay.
But that's where I pointed the infrared through that space so I could get the whole area to see if anything comes up. But I was kind of huddled in this corner with this and my flashlights, feeling very protected by the clothing that was surrounding me. And I stayed in that space and had some conversations. It was very slow at first, but I started asking questions. And initially, I was standing there and I had just, I just asked, are you here? Did you work here before? And I'm hoping I picked that up, but I could hear like, yes, to the side of me. And then it spiked again. It shot up to like, I think it was 40, 45. So
where did you pick it up? On your phone?
Well, I heard it with my ears. Like I
Were you
heard
recording
it.
though?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm hoping it picked up something. But then I kind of like crouched down and I just sat on the floor and I had this in front of me. I had it sitting, I was leaning against the wicker basket up there. And I just felt like I needed to utilize how like my energy and how I do with readings, that was going to get me the communication. It wasn't going to be a noise. It wasn't going to be like the traditional route of evidence when I was sitting there. So as I'm kind of zoning out, it starts shooting up in the hundreds over and over. So I'm talking and I have on my phone.
And by the way, these are shooting up over 100. Is your body verifying that as well?
Yes,
okay.
and it was a bit delayed, but that verified it for me. I mean, I wish I could transfer that feeling to someone so they'd know, but you can kind of, from me speaking, I'm trying to talk through all of this, and then we get the reading on here. So that was really neat. But I kind of turned it into a question and answer where I'd say something, and if they were responding in a way to agree, that it would shoot the numbers up. So that's kind of how we were communicating up there. But I had asked some questions, I think, about like what I was saying earlier, that you just have so much pride in your space and it'd go up. That this is your home, this is where you want people to come, and it'd shoot back up. And then I started getting all these images of Wendy again, and I'd say, so you just really love and respect for her, and it shot way up to 145, came back down, shot up, came down, shot up. Like it was kind of neat that in that way, and it made me feel comfortable because stuff wasn't falling over, and things weren't scaring me. So I'd run out and come down here screaming.
Wouldn't that be great? Like 15 minutes in, all of a sudden we see Natasha running out. So
I worried a little bit, but it's like, what am I going to do if I'm really freaked out?
so that continued until obviously I texted you to come down.
And yeah, it was strange because I came in not intentionally fearful. It was just I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what direction to go. And I got my equipment out and I got in my comfortable space. And I did get up and go and walk. And I tried to take some photos in the areas that I didn't want to stay in for too long. I moved around, but once we had that conversation and kind of established that, the whole energy of that space changed. I probably could have stayed up there for the rest of the night and felt fine. And so that was neat for me too. But yeah, it was intense. It was very intense. And I don't know if they maybe used some of my energy too, because I'm like still a little shaky and I feel kind of like I'm going to sleep good tonight, but
Yeah.
it was fun.
That's, I think, how we all felt that way last night even. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Surprised?
No,
No?
there's some goosebumps, but
I would say I had goosebumps too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you heard the yes, so you actually heard that from your ear. Yes.
Yes. And I also, I don't know if that got picked up on the camera. I had what felt like somebody come up and touch this part of my arm, but it wasn't frightening at all. But then I was talking and I felt and kind of heard the clothing move on the opposite side of me. I was bumping into someone this side with my arm, but it was like it just was right there with me, but not trying to make me feel like I needed to leave or do anything that scared the crap out of me. So
her investigation, more or less, kind of help you guys like realize like, all right, I mean, what I'm feeling, what I've experienced, this all makes sense.
Yes, it does. Very much so. I feel very comfortable up there now because I know that I can just say, leave me alone, and they do. They respect you, and they've never done anything to harm me. They've played with me a little bit and teased me, but, and now I understand what they're doing, and I'm very happy to go up there and visit with them. If I want to, I can invite them in or just tell them to leave me alone.
Yeah.
I don't invite them in.
No. Your thoughts, Dave?
I respect them.
Mhm. Very much.
Leave me alone. I just don't. It gets so eerie. It's so eerie for me. Still, everything that I've ever happened to me has just always been, I want to say negative, but it just has never been felt positive. So I prefer not to be watched by them. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like that feeling.
Is it something that you can feel now because you know what it feels like?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Are they watching us now?
It's hard to tell. There's a lot of lights and stuff going on there now.
But if it was dark and you were if we were all sitting in here, could you sense that more?
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Or do you have to be alone?
For me, it's always been alone. Always been alone.
No, I've been around when we're with other people and you feel something and they're just acting normal and you're going, that something's
off.
I've been here with other people.
Yeah. What did you think, and we hit on this a little bit, for you all around the whole building, is it the costume room for you still that's the most active, or early inclinations where it was the basement or the green room down in the basement? Is it the costume room now that you think you're going to get the best readings or the best paranormal activity?
I really think it fluctuates with its own purpose. I think the majority of if I had to pick one spot that was consistent for high energy, it would be here. But I mean, you have a lot of like living people's energy that comes into this space too. And they do kind of feed off of that. Mm-hmm. But I think I would say just personally for me, it's costume room is number one, and then the green room. But I don't know that I don't know that I really want to go back into the green room. I just want to stay away. And so I don't want to know what goes on down there.
From your your experiences and whatnot, your abilities, is there something that happened down there that you're just kind of like,
I just think it's, and I don't know if maybe like over time through the years, that's been a space that's had to operate, a specific way. I'm sure that's changed over each year.
there could be a lot of nerves down there too. You're getting ready in the green room. Is it nervous energy more that maybe that everyone picks up on? Or is it just because it's dark and it's a basement? I thought about that too.
I'm sure that could be part of
Because
it
you thought too that you were seeing faces a lot.
I didn't see faces.
What were you seeing down there?
There was a shadow.
Oh.
It was just a shadow, and I was sitting up here, and I like watched the shadow cross, like sitting. We were sitting there, and nobody's moving, nobody's doing anything, and I could just watch the shadow cross the wall.
I had forgot about that when I grabbed your arm because I was like ready to pass out. That I did see like. And I really tried to focus to make sure, like, because there is some light down there, and we're moving around, and then there's the exit lights too. But this kind of it was like this black mass that just kind of stayed, like it was looking out, and that's what I caught. And I like kept looking, and then it went back, and then on the other side, another one came in and then went back.
So when you were looking in the first row, looking down to the green room, so that's exactly the same spot that you were looking to, right?
Yeah.
And I thought you were both crazy at the time because I can't see past Dave right now. In my car, I only wear them when I drive. That was pretty quick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You got the EBGBs, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're thinking that there might be something down there?
I was already set up the next semester there. Like, I was ready to use it, and we had one earlier this year.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if we would go on.
Yeah. He was.
And it took both of us. Like, I'm not doing I'm singing.
Wendy and I stood over here
And had to talk.
and had to like talk the guy to come onto the stage.
What was he nervous about?
He was just
He was
so.
so nervous.
There was so much.
I'm like, I'm gonna go introduce you, and you're going on stage.
I remember this. I remember you I won't mention.
Like, we sold all these tickets, and I'm not singing, so. And I think all of that nervous energy, and I had a guy a couple years ago, and he was just,
Well-
that's a face word for him.
Yeah.
But you have this, I mean, if we draw energy from situations, this stage is nervous energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ellen and I can say that
Yeah.
for, any show you ever do, you are,
I don't care how long you've been doing it. I remember doing news, for 10 years, and even like my very last forecast. It's not that you're nervous, but there's always that.
You draw energy from
Yep.
everyone, and it swirls. And then when you get an audience, this whole
yeah.
theater is just
you almost get sick.
electric.
Literally, that was one show in
Energy
particular,
is,
I stopped. I didn't think I could go on. I had to open the show. It was Fiddler. And I was like, I can't do this. I thought I was gonna get sick. And it was every night. Not all shows have done that to me, but more so than not lately I've had that. But
Yeah.
if they draw from energy, this energy is a nervous energy here. So
I can see that. So about 10 minutes left. We can maybe ask if there are some questions out there that anyone wants to ask.
Deb Roski says she remembers going down to the basement for the restroom, and she didn't like going down there.
Yeah.
very true.
Yeah.
And Jay Brooks
Jay Brooks,
says
don't
to
you?
tell you hi, Dave.
yeah.
We had Jay on the podcast back in, I think, February or March. I think it's February. Yeah, we had some. Do you guys have any questions for Natasha? You guys want to ask her anything, even if it's personal, from not personal like something personal, but something we don't have to go to that, but like something from like the past or something that happened here that you'd have a question about.
I appreciate what you do. I don't understand when you have some of these things that have happened to you. I would never ask to have your gift. That would frighten me.
Sure.
And so I really appreciate what you do and how people like you have helped me understand and interpret what I'm feeling when I'm up in the costume room and when I'm down here on stage. And when I was a young person, what I experienced. It made a big difference in my life, like the night I was dreaming. And it was right after we had one of these. And I say they because they were spirits from this theater, were trying to take my covers off, and they were laughing so hard. And I reached up and grabbed my covers, and I said, leave my covers alone. Leave me alone. So I talked to someone like you, and she said, they're just telling you they're happy that you know they're here, and they want you to know they're here in the theater.
Yeah.
I never had a dream. I had been having nightmares up till that night. So I appreciate what you do in helping people very much.
I think that's really the only reason it exists for me. Is it feels natural to me. It kind of always has. I had to come to terms with a lot of things, but I do believe that many people are very sensitive, that you naturally read the energy, not only that, but just the energy of spaces itself, or, how others are feeling that are alive. You pick up on that, you're sensitive to it, and you are too. And, if you have somebody who's kind of willing to take the reins and just take it in and figure it out, then it helps you to connect with it yourself a little better.
So we've had a few comments here. Deb obviously says that it's creepy, eerie feeling. Jessica had a lot of Jessica Calvig. You guys know her at all?
Jessica, that would be, she used to be a runner, perhaps?
She said she had a lot of odd experiences in the theater, especially in that costume room or in the orchestra pit, which makes I think a lot of sense. Where's the weirdest place that you have had your experience? Did I ask you this?
I don't like the in between here alone. Where the bathrooms are, that area there. I don't like anything to do with that.
Oh, really? The bathrooms are beautiful. I think
Not the bathrooms themselves. This right outside
The inner
this
lobby.
The inner lobby. It's that place for me. You can't see coming in here.
Isn't that such a cool feeling
Nope,
though when
not
it's
at all.
dark
Nope, not at all.
and you walk into those curtains and I'm just looking for like a face or a shadow or something, and I was even taking pictures
You
last night and
obviously have
nothing.
never seen a face or a shadow then.
I haven't.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you can think differently.
And you have several.
Yeah.
You have several times.
Yeah, it's that.
Is it something that sticks with you and you think about pretty much every single day?
You can, yeah.
Yeah.
One day I came into the theater, I just worked just half a block from here, and on my lunch hours, or if somebody called and needed a costume, I would just buzz over, get it. And I came running in, and I dip up the little steps, and I walked into an ice wall. Ooh, literally stopped me. And I'll come back later. And that is an experience I almost forgot about tonight, but that's something I don't forget. It was a frozen wall. Just like that. That's just what I did.
exactly.
And you kind of had that last night, right?
Yeah.
Where did you have that again?
Well, walking into the door down there, I think Christina felt that
in the
too.
green room.
But I felt like I was actually physically being stopped just outside the bathroom. Like I
Oh, yes,
wanted
that's
to
where it
go
was.
into it because I could feel it, but I was stopped. And I paused, and then eventually I could go in. But yeah, it was like walking into a wall.
I didn't go in. I went out the door.
So I have no issue in the basement. No issue in the green room. Zero.
Even at night by yourself, you'd go down there?
Zero. It's out there.
It's out there.
We did pick up higher energy, like just especially on that side.
And that's the side that, I don't know if you told me or I have always just felt that side, but I've always felt that there's something over there.
And
Right back in there,
that's
yeah.
my chair that I sit in every movie I go to.
Where?
The first chair in the back row. I never sit anywhere else. I don't feel comfortable sitting anywhere else. I sit in that chair.
What about that chair up there?
Well,
Don't you sit in that
yeah.
chair, Dave?
We don't talk about that chair. So I am not comfortable sitting anywhere but that chair in the theater. I'm uncomfortable everywhere else.
You don't like sitting up there all the time?
Nope, I didn't.
No?
No. So which is really weird when you mentioned that that's the activity that you've had, and other people hinge that activity there, but that's where I'm more comfortable.
We sat there last night, didn't we? I know I sat back there for a little while.
Natasha and I didn't sit back there.
I love sitting back because I feel like I can see everything. Like I sat back in that corner, I sat back in that corner.
We walked back there, but we didn't sit back there.
Yeah. Maybe you guys didn't.
Yeah, I tried sitting I walked back there quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I tried sitting back a little ways, but not in the way back.
So Dawson, who is Dave's son, it says Dawson.
He's watching live. You're at
He says the entire time that you're cleaning this place, it feels like you're being watched. He's never felt that way anywhere else. And hi, Dad, you look youthful.
He wants money.
Yeah, no kidding. You know, one area we didn't talk to a lot, and we can stop in about 5 minutes or so. But we haven't talked a lot about the balcony area. You know, experience-wise, you guys have been coming here a lot, and even intuition-wise. Is there anything up there besides maybe the old seats? And obviously you have the costume room and all that. But I'm just talking about strictly the balcony.
Okay, I know a young woman, Connie Larson, and she's been gone for many years from this area, but she was standing up in the balcony and someone put a hand on her shoulder, and she relates that story. And then I heard someone else talking about being touched up in the balcony. It was someone that had come here through Wendy. So I know things do happen up there. I've always been comfortable.
I just heard stories of people sitting up there and the seat next to them going down.
That could be gravity.
Well,
You sound like Wendy now.
Last year, when we were here, I had somebody, I had a child or something. My whole leg went cold.
Did you?
Last year, you know.
And we've had some experiences with our equipment.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's one thing that we haven't mentioned yet is the equipment. We've had some malfunctions where the SD card wasn't working.
I'm down to 3 cameras already.
You are? Yeah. So the energy obviously is, and Wendy's like, no way, that's just the way it works. But yeah, we've had some equipment stuff. But you had some stuff. There's nothing personally.
No, nothing personal. Just the stories of people with the seats that just go down by themselves, so like they're watching a movie with you or something. No.
What? Up there? Or overall? Are you looking at notes or cue cards or what? Did you see that?
Summer saw something, saw somebody staying, she went up with one.
Okay. All right. Anything up there that you can feel?
I didn't really pick up a whole lot up there, but I mean, we didn't really spend much time. I feel like maybe even into the projection room, there's some concentrated energy, but nothing really.
Oh, you haven't been up there?
No, I haven't. My attention, and last night too, was drawn more towards the wall, like what was behind the wall, than out here.
It's kind of creepy back there.
I was up there by myself today.
Yeah.
When I was here alone, and
Projection.
Yeah.
it was
That's
okay.
how I feel. I can't explain when I feel like eerie. That's exactly what it is, Wendy. Final thoughts, guys. We'll wrap this up. Final thoughts. I'll let you go ahead. Final thoughts with everything that we talked about today for the last 90 minutes.
I don't know. I would say I'm a definite believer. This place, there's something in this place. And it's funny that, my experiences in Ellen's are 2 different experiences, kind of, we didn't know that going into this at all. We didn't talk. We didn't know we'd even be here. It's just, nothing's ever, let's say, maliciously harmed or did anything to hurt or scare me. It's just, I get a very uneasy feeling, but that's what I grew up with. So respect, don't trust, you do your thing, I do mine, and let's just leave it at that. So,
And you can coexist because this is a beautiful place. And
yeah.
Ellen?
We're very fortunate to have this theater. I feel it's exciting to get to know that there is something outside of me that I can feel, and that have people come and interpret that, yes, you are feeling that. To me, I feel sorry for those people who don't get out of their bodies enough to let that happen, because it can be scary, but they're not harming me. It's just it should be a natural thing for all of us, and it isn't. And you just have to let yourself go and believe it. I can't not believe it, because It's happened to me.
Natasha?
I love what she said. I think we should be friends.
I can already feel you've got a very warm spirit about you.
I feel it with you too.
Sorry, Dave. Don't get any ideas.
David and I are good. David and I, he's a very warm person. No problem there.
So I think for specifically for me to kind of wrap things up, I think as you said, and I think we've all said, we all have different abilities, right? And Wendy's ability of not being able to feel kind of what we can feel, but yet we can all come together and do amazing things at this theater. And that's, I think, number one. And doing a investigation like this isn't about finding out if it's, if there are malicious ghosts here or not. I think it's more about celebrating what's been around here for over 100 years and what we can continue to do for the next 100 years. So that's kind of why I decided to do something like this, and it's been a lot of fun. So thank you guys for being a part of all this, and maybe we'll do this next year. It'll be a tradition. What do you think, Christina?
I'm all for it.
Wendy, thank you for having us.
I don't have to believe them. They like me.
They do like you.
They do
Keep
like
liking
you,
her. She does a good job here. We'll see you next week, guys. Take care. God bless.